Well done. You did a lot of work to this, so it's good. And it has to be done, so it's good. Thank you.
Item 7.
Okay, number 7. The review of the cruising and prohibited times on road bylaw and proposed consultation on replacement bylaw. That's a big mouthful. Did I say here happy to move from someone? Right, Tyler's happy to move and Mark's happy to second. And you want to take it as read and you got a question? Okay.
I've had, since the briefing we had yesterday and today, there's some interest in adding other roads. Yep. So is there a method for doing that? Or if people were to bring up roads during the consultation period, and then how would they be dealt with?
I think if roads were raised during the consultation period, we would take those on board and investigate them fully, and then have to consult specifically on those proposals to add or alter roads. We couldn't just add them through the consultation process because we wouldn't have given other people a chance to comment on those roads.
So would that process be the same? Like would that consultation process follow on close to it, or would it be in a further few years? Like, what would be the length of time?
It would depend on the issues, I guess. So the bylaw works as a mechanism which enables roads to be added or removed by resolution with a consultation process, and then there's a policy that sets out what we'd consider and analyse and look at, including talking to the police and examining the whole situation, and then making recommendations to the community board about whether to proceed with consultation, and then the recommendation would come to council to ultimately add roads after that. So it would just depend on the issues raised and whether we wanted to take that further, taking the assessment criteria and the policy into consideration.
It would also depend on the scale of the road that's being proposed to change. So if it was a say a minor industrial cul-de-sac off an additional road that's already covered or proposed, I think that would be far easier to include, rather than say a road which has citywide interest or serves another function, or one that's been previously reviewed, for instance, as well.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Aaron?
So just on the Blake's Road section, Redcliffe to Belfast Road, so we've still got issues there with antisocial behaviour from time to time. Doesn't that prohibited times on roads, that exempts the residents that live there or their visitors? So then if we weren't to remove that, then doesn't that leave the police with the tool that if half a dozen clowns have turned up and thinking of doing burnouts, the cops turn up and go, why are you here? And they go, oh, we live here, and they show us prove it, and they don't, they go, please leave. Doesn't it give them that tool?
It does, but we don't tend to use it on an area where we expect a lot of legitimate use at night. So we're proposing to remove it from that area because of that subdivision that's been put in, where there will be a lot of residents that can only access the subdivision from that road. So we tend to put it on roads that are very quiet at night and aren't otherwise used a lot. Yep. Because we don't want most people using it to be in the exemption category, because it applies to all vehicles using the road, or all light vehicles using the road, not just to people up to no good. So we're careful about how we use that regulatory power on roads, and we're removing just that section with the residential development. That the other section is remaining.
Well, yeah, the problem here, the residential only goes halfway down that section, and then the other half is actually quite a good lap for doing burnouts around the block.
The other half is still covered.
Well, this is Redcliffe to Belfast Road.
Removing part of it.
You're removing part of it.
Yeah.
Removing section of Blake's Road from Belfast Road to Redcliffe Road. That sounds like the whole section, but is it not?
It's the we currently regulate the whole road. We're removing the bit that gives access to the residential area.
So half of the area from Belfast to Redcliffe.
I don't know the roads in detail.
There'll be, yeah, there's an
proposal.
industrial zone delineation line, which
Yes.
you probably know quite well.
You've answered it. It is the residential one that's the change is a direct result of the
Houses going.
yeah.
But the residents are still saying they've got problems.
Then they need to let the police know so that they can
Right.
deal with it at the time.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So, but just to be clear, because in the wording here it says from Blake's to Belfast. I mean, Blake's from Belfast to Redcliffe, but it's only half of that.
No, it is that. But
Or
we
it is
can-
all of it?
We can check that we're intending to do all of it. We would need to check on that, but
Yeah, because
we,
you know
we
the
believe our intention and what we've got in there, we will check, but we
yeah,
think
because the
it's
Belfast
just
end's
the
where you're
bit.
going to get the more problems because it's all factories.
Yeah, we'll
I know-
double check that.
Yeah,
before we
because
go
the
out.
other bit you've left north of Belfast Road, which makes perfect sense and explains that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyrone.
Thank you. So if we were to add another road, could we do it today?
Before we go out for consultation, with these roads, we normally do an assessment process and also check with the police that their views on, because they're the enforcer of the bylaw, so we check whether they are aware of issues or have input into proposing it or not.
So that's a no.
It depends on the road,
if we-
but we
if
have
we were
done
to-
it. We've assessed a whole lot of things. We've gotten input from community boards.
Yeah.
We've had all the roads raised. We've looked at our records of complaints. We've talked to staff that deal with damage to the roads. We've talked to the police, and these are the roads that we're putting forward for recommendation.
Okay.
to
I've just
consult
got to
on.
follow up if that's all right. So if we were to let the report lie on the table, would we be able to bring another road into the report at a you know in the not too distant future?
So the question, I
Road.
wonder if I could ask a question of Councillor Fields. If the roads have been proposed by the community board, did you take the opportunity to actually input at that stage?
Did I personally? No. So we're acting on new information though. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
far
wonder
right.
if we can.
Because I am talking about the Summit Road. Yeah.
When I, as councillor for the Kashmir ward, I worked with Andrew Turner, and as in my position as the chair of the Summit Road Authority, I worked with Andrew when we went forward to put the Summit Road in to anti-social behaviour, and I think, and we did break the record for submissions for a day. It was almost just over 900 in a day. They were from all over the world, and it was all against it. There was a very small number for it, so be prepared that if you want to put it up, do talk with the other side of the Hills Community Board, because Sarah's area is connected as well. But it was absolutely amazing and staggering what how many people came forward to say no, that we shouldn't be doing it. It was huge. It was insane. Yeah. There's also a lot of people that use it. I mean, it was quite complicated, but Andrew was outstanding working with me with it. But it was actually quite staggering, wasn't it? We worked with police as well. It was staggering.
Yeah, and I understand it was, and I guess, yeah, I mean, this is just exploratory at this point in time, just asking the questions. Yeah.
So don't expect it,
Good
What,
background.
we,
Thank you,
what I would say is once the updated bylaw, if it gets put in place, there's nothing stopping us looking at any of the roads any other time. What we're trying to do here is get the bulk of them under the new bylaw in one go. Any other ones in the future will just be an operational matter, and we'll deal with them, consult on them, and bring them to yourselves for approval as needed.
So this is not the
It's not the be all and end
be all and end all.
No,
not
it's
yeah.
not as
So
locked
we
in
can
as,
add in.
as
Thank you.
some bylaws. So it's designed to be a bit more flexible in
Okay.
terms of adding and altering roads over time.
'Cause
But we do
otherwise-
need to get the bylaw review completed to comply with the legislative requirements to review it. So while looking at the review, we've looked at the roads and added some where we can.
Thank you.
To update
That's
it.
good. Right. So I've got Kelly.
Yeah, thanks for that. Cypress Road in Linwood would be one that people have come to community board and I think here to talk about. So I just want to highlight that. But just as far as the infringements are concerned, I noticed in 2021 there were 80 something infringements, almost double, treble the next biggest year. In 2017 there's none.
Yes.
Yeah. But
There's
could you
a
explain that a
footnote
bit?
on that. We're not sure why that is. So we went back to the police because that's their data
Yeah.
and their stats, and they weren't sure why they didn't have stats for us for those for that year. But it may be some of those stats might be incomplete as well. So I did caveat that with a footnote because
Yeah,
we're
no,
not
I
confident.
did
Because
read
it does seem very odd and unlikely that they would have issued no infringements for that year. I agree.
Okay. Just
thanks.
wanted to move along, and I've got two more questions. But just remember here, if we're not careful, we'll spend more time on this than we did on the OPP, and I know what's a lot more important. Aaron.
Well, I was going to, I was happy to move it, but I did want to just make the one amendment to leave Blake's Road unchanged until the next round. So leave it with the tool for police. Are we able to do that? Can we make an adjustment to this?
I'm not sure the police would support it, because what the police don't want is a road where lots of people are using all the time. It makes it harder for them to spot people who are infringing on the notice. I appreciate what you said about people doing burnouts and that type of behaviour. If they're doing that type of behaviour, they'll deal with them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the roads that we regulate basically remove the opportunity for people to drive on those roads, and that includes all users of the roads. So we only use it where we don't expect people to need to use the road at night.
I think it would almost make it harder to enforce.
Tyler. Lastly, Tyler.
I really appreciate actually adding Weaver Place, just from a personal level. But I was just wanting to ask a question, particularly around the antisocial behaviours, not necessarily the cruising as such. Were there other areas flagged throughout the city that presented the same issues as what Weaver Place did? I know Weaver Place is quite a predominant antisocial area because of the car park by Sockburn Pool.
Not that were raised in the context of the review work that we've been doing, but there are
Okay.
bound to be other areas. Yeah.
Okay, so would it hurt if we, say for example, looked back at this in a year's time to propose something through the community boards?
That's absolutely the route going forward for any.
Okay, so we don't
additions
need to
or
lock it
alterations.
in a resolution or anything. Okay. No, those are my only questions. Thank you very much.
So we have
Just
a mover and seconder, and I don't think there's any debate. Right, put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.